Hey everybody, looks like we got two in here. Hey 71. Good to see you back in here again. So 71's the only one I know that's in the chat right now. But I just want to ask this to the chat at large, even people that, haven't maybe aren't in the chat. For those of you that were with me for the last watch along, I just wonder. Now my hat's doing that thing where I can't get it right. Okay, it still looks kind of crooked, but I don't know. I don't know why sometimes this thing. I don't know if it's my camera or what. That my camera gets. I think that was it. My camera gets askew, and then it makes my hat look crooked on camera. And I'm sorry to always be brushing at my hair, but when I straighten my hair, it always tends to get, it goes down almost over my eyes and stuff like that. And when I put this hat on, sometimes real quick, I have to adjust it. But I just wanted to know how everybody felt about having Uncle Bill on there with me from Dead Pit Radio for the watch along. I thought, I've enjoyed all the watch alongs where I've had people on. Um, but, I think because me and Uncle Bill and me and CK have been friends for several years, that I guess there's a little bit of a more of a comfort factor there. So we just kind of get on there and kind of talk like, friends do. We're just on there talking about, we talked about the movie we were doing the watch along on, but we talked about other things as we went along. And I thought it was, I thought it was a good watch along, and I had a lot of fun. I always have fun when there's somebody on there with me. Um, TJ's always entertaining when he's been on there with me. Oh, Curly Jaws is entertaining when he's on there. John's entertaining when he's on. I mean, all these, Darren, Texas, all those guys, what I would love to do is get, all those guys and, maybe one or two more. Now, I know that Uncle Bill said that it kind of messes up his internet kind of goes wonky when there's over 5 people in a live stream that he's on. So um, I may have to be cognizant of that, of course, if he's on there. But I said the more the merrier. The more we can get in there on these um, live streams. I just love it. I love that interaction. I love the interaction with the chat, but when somebody's actually live on the stream with me and I can see them and stuff like that, or in Texas's case, I can hear him. It's a lot easier to interact with somebody, um, and you get more inflections with their voice and all that stuff. And I know you guys don't need to hear all that jazz about how great I think it is to have people on here. Um, but, I always want people to have the understanding that um, anytime anybody wants to come on, you can be on, and you can be on audio only if you like. Or if you have a webcam and you don't want to be on there, you can set a stuffed animal, a action figure, anything in front of it, or not. That's just an idea. Or I know in Texas's case, and he doesn't have a webcam, but he has his little picture icon on there. Um, of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think is cool as well. So I just wanted to, talk about that for a second, and to remind everybody that I will be doing my dinner with De Palma This will be my third installment of my dinner with De Palma, and we're going to be talking about home movies, and not just any home movies, but the De Palma film called Home Movies and The Fury. And the dinner portion of it is it's kind of sort of up in the air and kind of sort of not, if that makes any sense. I'm going to explain. Because I'm still, I haven't started the new job yet. Therefore, I don't have a paycheck yet from said new job. And um, I requested money through unemployment, but I haven't gotten that yet either. So, it's spreading me pretty thin right now. While I'm in, waiting to, they basically told me my request for money was in review. And if I meet all the qualifications, which I think I do, they will send money to my bank, basically. And although it's not like a paycheck amount that I would get, it's still some money and will enable me to get by until I get a normal paycheck from my new job. So, uh, because I am waiting on the extra money and because I am spread pretty thin financially right now, um, my dinner portion of it might consist of like a peanut butter sandwich and, a drink or something. Something that I already have here. Now, of course, if I get some money by Wednesday where I can, order something, I am thinking like a box lunch type of deal. And I mean, even if I have to go the peanut butter sandwich route on my end, that's still, a box lunch. And when I talk about the home movies film that De Palma did, you'll kind of see where that box lunch comes into play. But for those of you that are not on any kind of financial restrictions, if you want to get, you know, something from Subway where you get like a sandwich and chips and a drink and all that, or you want to, some of you have a Penn Station, which also sells sandwiches, Jersey Mike's, which also sells sandwiches, or you can just do your own kind of box lunch. It doesn't have to be a sandwich and chips and all that. It would be whatever you would consider a good box lunch type of thing if you want to participate in the dinner part. So that's why I say it's kind of sort of up in the air for me. It's definitely going to be a box lunch type of deal. I just don't know yet if I'm going to have to do what I've got around the house or I'm going to be able to actually get something delivered to the house. If I do go the delivery route, I'm probably going to get myself um, something maybe for lunch or something like that, like a salad or something for lunch from one of the sandwich shops around town. But we'll just see. It'll be a surprise for you guys. Either, I'll have a peanut butter sandwich and a soft drink, or I will actually have something from Subway or Penn Station or Jersey Mike's or whatever. Um, hey, hey, TJ, hey, Texas. Uh, TJ, you say, hi, I'm nodding in and out of my chair, but I'm listening. That's okay. I know my ramblings can sometimes put some people to sleep anyway. So if you go to sleep, that's cool, TJ. I'm like that too. Like last night, I was watching some old Tales from the Dark Side episodes, and I kept nodding off. Even during my favorite episodes, I was nodding off. And I finally just had to give it up and go to bed. So, um, so the dinner theme for Wednesday's my dinner with De Palma, and again, why I'm doing it on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday is because, of course, Thursday's on Thanksgiving, and I figured that's going to be a busy day for a lot of people, and you're going to be chock full of turkey and ham and whatever you have at your Thanksgiving dinner, and people are going to be ready to pass out, when they get home from their family dinner or whatever. And they're not going to want to hear me talk about movies. So, I just figured that I would do it on Wednesday this week. Um, and so the dinner portion will be a box lunch type of thing. And that's whatever you want your box lunch to be. If you want that to be a sandwich and chips and a soft drink, that's groovy. If you want it to be a piece of fruit and a peanut butter sandwich and a glass of milk, groovy. I don't care. That makes absolutely no difference to me. It's whatever you think comprises a good box lunch for you. And you will see how the box lunch motif kind of fits in with the home movies discussion. Um, and if you're confused by it and you say, Dana, why'd you pick a box lunch? This has nothing to do with anything. I will attempt to explain that. So, we got all that coming up. Plus, Saturday, we have the Thanksgiving watch along at the request of Old Curly Jaws. I don't know for sure if Old Curly Jaws is going to be on here with me for the watch along. Kind of hope he is. Well, I definitely hope he is because he always makes whatever stream he's on even more entertaining. And you guys will notice that this light coming back here, you can probably tell that that's a space heater. And it's a little chilly back here. And so Steve brought the space heater in from the garage the other day. So I am definitely utilizing that. And dang it, we've still got these damn fruit flies. I thought maybe they were easing up, but like later on in the day, it got a little bit warmer today than it has been. And as soon as it warmed up in the house, those suckers just exploded. And so I don't understand why they're coming back here so bad now. Other than, there's a light. Maybe they're attracted to the light. I have no idea. I just wish they could go away. But Steve and I have plans. If they're not gone by spring, we're going to have the pest control people come and do something about it and figure out where they're spawning from and all of that jazz. So we can get rid of the damn things, because this has been about 2 years of this. And it's annoying as hell. It's hard for me to cook in the kitchen because I'm always afraid that these damn things are going to get in my food and they're going to get mixed up in something. And especially I'm planning on taking some home baked bread, some apple bread and pumpkin bread to my mom's house for Thanksgiving. And I really don't want somebody to bite into the bread and find a damn fruit fly in there, or more than one fruit fly. So that is our plan. Something else. I mean, I think it's exciting. I'm excited about this new job all the way around. But I got the notification with the tracking number for my new laptop for my job. They are sending me a laptop. They've got it all prepped, I guess, with all the software and stuff that I'll need to use. And it should be here by tomorrow. FedEx is bringing it to me. So I'm excited about that. So let's see. TJ, you say Turkey Day, Mystery Science Theater 3000 starts at 7 a.m. and I'm making dinner for the family Thursday. Going to be a long holiday. I think that's cool, TJ, that you're cooking dinner for the family. I keep telling my mom I want to do that. We could fit people in our house in Louisville. I definitely make room, and it would give my mom a break. I don't want my mom having to cook Thanksgiving dinner on up until, she's quite old like my granny did. Um, because it's just nerve-wracking. It's really nerve-wracking. When you get older, especially, it's nerve-wracking. And I keep telling my mom I just want to help out. But it's hard to get everybody to want to come to Louisville. Um, and hard to get all the family here. Um, a lot of people don't like driving to Louisville. They don't like driving in Louisville, which I can't blame them. And also, like my brother and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law wants to, like, after she finishes up at my mom and dad's house, and they stay a while, she'll go over to her family in Indiana and Tell City. And if they came to Louisville, it'd be that much longer that they would have to drive to get back to Indiana to be with her family. 71, you said, wow, I only got a 3-pound turkey breast. Easy meal. Yeah, I cooked a 18-pound turkey for Steve and I, because we usually, or I like to celebrate with just me and Steve like the week before Thanksgiving. And some people think that's weird. They're like, Dana, you're cooking your turkey 11 days early. Why are you doing that? It doesn't compute with a lot of people. But the reason I do that is, like I said, I like to have a small dinner, and me and Steve can eat on this about a week or something. It gives us something to eat. And, I do all the fixings with it, macaroni and cheese and stuffing and mashed potatoes and, all of that good stuff, gravy. Um, hey, Blissful. Texted, she says, thanks, cool TJ. I thought I was spending the day alone, but a friend texted me and invited me to his family, so I'm doing that. That's cool, Texas. I mean, I don't want anybody to be alone on the holidays. Some people like that. Some people would rather be alone, but I got the feeling, Texas, that you're not that type of person. So I'm glad that you're doing that. Okay. Blissful, you say, I have a 14-pound turkey. I can get a lot of meals from. Oh, yes, yes. We still got some of our 18-pound turkey. TJ, you say you're frying an 18-pounder small gathering unless other fam slithers in. um, Someone you say, I did that for 3 years, but then again, I was wasting those years. LOL. Well, like I said, I think, like, how I talk about. Sorry, I'm slapping around. I'm trying to get rid of that damn fly. You know how I always say it's hard, it gets harder every year to get Steve to do anything or to go see family or, on and on and on. Um, I think he would just as soon just stay at home and not go anywhere. But I don't get to see my side of the family that much, except at holidays, pretty much. So I treasure those times, and Steve, bless his heart, he doesn't really interact with my family when we go. He basically will eat and then go lay down in my old bedroom and go to sleep. But my family's used to that by now. And so, that's just what we do. Takes as you say, I've done it for years, but it can suck being by yourself. Yes, I totally get that. 71, you said, the only reason I'm with someone for the holidays is because I'm with my parent. I really don't mind living alone or being alone on holidays, but I'm a weirdo. LOL. Well, no, you're not a weirdo. some people have different sets of situations where, um, you know, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but 71, I get the idea that you've had some rough times with, you know, like your mom and possibly other family members. I don't know. And I can totally understand somebody that's been through those things, um, would like to be alone. The thing I don't understand about Steve is, for the most part, his family seems to be a loving family, and of course, my family's a loving family. I don't understand why somebody would not want that support system if it's there. You know what I mean? Why you would not want that? Now that I think is odd on his part, but in your situation, no, I don't. I don't think you're a weirdo. Samuel, you said my family is holy terror. LOL. Blissful, you say it's just my mom and I this year. The family is so large, and now each one has their own family. Yeah, I understand that as well. TJ, you say I like to be alone, but oddly with people around. LOL. Now, TJ, you don't appear to me to be a person that likes to be alone, but I get what you're saying too. You say, but oddly with people around. So probably you're one of these people that likes things, you know, you don't want it too quiet, but it's probably one of those things where you just don't want people bugging you too much, maybe. Because sometimes that happens when there's too many, people around, and they're all, kind of, it's like inquiring minds want to know type of thing, and they're asking you all kinds of questions. And sometimes when you get together with your family, that's a danger, of having that. It's like people are asking you questions that you'd really rather not talk about, or I think everybody has these people in their family that just, and I talk all the time too, but they want to play 20 questions with you. And it's just, can I just have a moment where I can just sit here, like if it's Thanksgiving, and eat my meal and just like not answer questions about things? Um, in Texas, you said, my first Christmas by myself, a friend of mine was killed in a van accident a couple of days before, and that really sucked. Wow. And it just seems like, I don't know why it is. I don't know why it is, but it seems like every year around the holidays, either it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, it's usually these holidays that tend to be family holidays that it seems like something bad will inevitably happen to somebody's family. I just saw today on Facebook a little bit earlier that, I'm guessing it was a girl that I'm friends with on Facebook. I'm guessing, it was her boyfriend, and I don't know how many years they've been together or anything like that, but he just died. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, was he sick, or, was it an accident? You know, you just don't know, but it's just, it almost makes people, you know, dread the holidays, because it seems like that's, I don't want people to dread holidays, but know what I mean? Bad things happen all the time, but it seems like if something, you know, bad that you can't really bounce back from quickly, like a death from either disease or an accident, or even if it's just a sudden, unexpected death, you know, somebody didn't know that somebody else's heart was not good, or somebody has an aneurysm, or whatever, something that's just sudden, or they go in for a procedure and you think it's not going to be a big deal, and the next thing you know, they're dead. So, but I don't want to bum everybody out, but I totally get what you guys are talking about. TJ, you say, I like me time, but I can watch football with others, but kind of sink in my don't bug me seat. Yeah. Blissful, you say, TJ, is it like people in the other room and you hanging out with a few in a different room? Now, I've done that too. 71, you say, I don't like the holidays because my dad died in November when I was 6. So I've hated holidays ever since. See, and that does, things like that do tend to put a sort of like a black veil or something over the holiday season. And that includes the whole holiday season. So, yeah, I totally get that. Texas, you say at TJ, yeah. Do you remember the band The Minutemen? It was D Boone, the guitarist and singer. I was friends with all of them. Wow. And I've heard of the Minutemen, Texas. I know that I've heard of them. Um, TJ, you say if I don't have to drive, drinking helps. LOL. Unfortunately, I'm going to be around my mom, so I better not drink too much. Um, so while we're all really bummed out now, and that's not anybody's fault, but I don't want like you guys to get into some deep dark depression or something if I keep talking about stuff like that. So, oh, I did want to tell you. Oh man, I've never had my nose busted before. I don't even think I've ever, knock on wood, had a nosebleed before. And a lot of kids growing up will get nosebleeds and stuff. But I mean, I don't know if my nose is swollen or bruised or looks kind of weird or anything. But if it does, um, I was hugging on my old basset hound, my old man basset hound, Brandon, last night, and I wasn't even thinking about sometimes dogs will raise up their head real quickly, and usually I get hit in the mouth or the teeth by a dog that does that, and that doesn't feel too good. But this particular time, Brandon just boom, the hardest part must have been the hardest damn part of his head, hit me right smack dab in the nose, like I guess it was right here, and just I mean, oh my gosh, it took my breath away. It was just a sharp pain, and I was like, oh, like that. And Steve said, did he hit you in the nose? And I said, yeah. And then I felt like something was running out of my nostril. And I was like, I hope it's not bleeding. And I kind of put my finger up there and there was blood on there. And then I went into the bathroom and there was a little trickle of blood coming out of one nostril. I was like, oh, damn. He busted my nose. So it bled for it bled for a little bit, not really bad, and then I blew out the rest of it into a tissue, and now it's just running like like a faucet, like you've got a cold or allergies or something. Um, but yeah, I mean, it hurt when it happened, but it kind of it feels okay now. It was a little tender, right? Like if I moved it back and forth like this last night, it was a little tender. But it seems to be better now. So when you say you're lucky, nosebleeds suck. Yeah, and a lot of kids, it's a scary thing when they have nosebleeds, especially if you don't know for sure what caused the nosebleed. 71, you say, oh, you probably injured it. Be careful on that one. Yeah, I'm trying to be, not move it or, not be real forceful or anything with it. I've been trying to be easy with it. When you say I've hit my nose, it hurts. Yeah, this hurt. It was a sharp pain when he did smack. I mean, because like I said, he just the whole top of his head just went, and it smacked up against my nose. I don't know. It felt like somebody kicked me, or thankfully I've never been hit in my nose by anybody. Steve said he had when he was in the army. Him and the guy he bunked with or whatever got in a fight a couple of times, and he got punched in the nose from that. So he says he thinks that's why one of his nostrils is messed up. So when you say I wouldn't mess with the nose, let it heal up. Yeah, I'm trying, like I said, not to mess with it too much. Bliss, what you say? I had to rescue my dog. He took over my crochet. TJ, you say I once had my PC tower on my desk. The DV doors open, and I forgot it was there, and I ripped a chunk off the bridge of my nose. Oh my god, that sounds painful. Liz, what you say? I've been punched in the nose, but never broken. I thought maybe mine was broken at first, but um, I think now maybe Steve said, well, pretty much most of your nose is cartilage and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, but I don't want to mess it up either. Hey, Red, you say, well, hello there. Just was watching the neighborhood on CBS. Also came across a size B battery. Awesome. um, but anyway, I think now my nose might be running just as a kind of a side thing from that. But I know I'm not trying to hide the fact that somebody did that to me. Actually, my dog did bust me in the nose last night. It wasn't a human that did it. But anyways, um, now that I've talked for over 30 minutes about anything and everything, let's go ahead and get to the meat of this stream. I apologize that I didn't do one last night for you guys that maybe were, looking forward to one. That I had been feeling a little better, and now, like the last week or so, I've been feeling bad on and off. So I figure it's something with my immune system or something, and just gonna have to live with it. But so I may have to get up and blow my nose here in a minute because I get it's so aggravating for it to keep running like that, and that's the nostril that it was bleeding out of. Um, but yeah, I've been like I don't know. I felt rough this morning when I first got up, and now I'm feeling good enough to do something. But last night I was just like, yeah, I love to do the live streams, but it's just I don't know. I just sometimes when I feel, as my mom would say, puny, I just want to sit there on the couch in the living room and just bundle up with my blanket if it's cold, and just watch something. Like I watched Tales from the Dark Side episodes last night. Um and But then today, because I started feeling a little bit better, I thought, well, hey, let me come up with an idea for a stream. And what I came up with was a feast of family horror. And by this, I don't mean horror movies for families to watch. I mean families that are horrific in some way. So you probably got a pretty good idea what type of films, maybe even some titles that I'm going to cover tonight. And I'm going to try to, I've got 5 here that I'm going to cover. And I thought that's a good round number, 5. Um, hopefully, I won't be on here forever and ever and ever. And you guys fall asleep on me. So let me read 71. You say, hell, a shower curtain rod hit me in the head. So I had a black eye for 6 months and it still has water coming out of it. Shit happens. Oh, well. Oh, wow. That sounds painful too. Blissful, you say at 71, I had a panic attack when I got tangled up in a shower curtain. I probably would too nowadays if I got tangled up in anything. Blissful, you say, Dana, could it be the winter blues? The change of weather always makes me feel just plain icky. It could be part of it. Blissful, I do when it starts getting towards winter time, and I love winter, you know. But since I've gotten older, it seems like I do get more teary eyed, more emotional, more all of that. Um, and it could be other womanly related things that I won't go into deep detail, but I'm sure Blissful 71, all you gals, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. That makes me feel a little under the weather and also makes me feel more irritable and depressed and all of that stuff. You knew by the picture, 71. Um, 71, you say, I feel icky because after years of abusing my body, it's caught up with me. Blissful, you say, same here. Now, guys, I am going to step away and blow my nose, but I will be right back. I'm going to remove myself from the stream temporarily. Okay, I'm back, and I'm sorry to be dabbing at my nose, but when I went in there to blow my nose, I started sneezing, and sometimes I get this achiness and kind of like a pain in my sinuses and my cheekbones and stuff like that. Um, but it feels like it's been worse on the side where my nose was bleeding from. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, TJ. Anniversary dinner episode Tales from Dark Side is a good one for this stream. Um, don't let me forget, and I'll bring that up because I did kind of sort of rewatch that. That was one of them that I watched recently because, like I said, last night I watched several episodes. Today I watched some episodes. 71, you say I gotta find that one. Uh, Texas, you say, thankfully I was straight edge a good part of my life until my early 20s and drinking like a fish and whatnot. I don't, I didn't start drinking more until I was in my 30s, which is kind of late, for somebody to start that. 71, you said, hopefully I can stay awake tonight. Yeah, I think that looks like a picture of a cup of coffee. 71, you said it might turn into that. I'm on a Benadryl kick that I can't seem to break, and it makes me tired and messes with me. I am good. I'm not glad per se to hear somebody say that the pink pills knock them out, but they knock me out too. But a lot of people say Benadryls don't do anything for them. They don't do a thing, and I don't get that. So it makes me feel less crazy to hear other people say. 71, you said, well, I'm sort of back to being addicted to them. That happens too. Yeah, and Flonase was something that um, was recommended to me by one of the nurse practitioners at the little clinic in the Kroger's around here. Um, which I think they gave me a prescription for a generic Flonase, and I think it's there's some up in the cabinet, and also some out on the bar. So maybe I need to start using that again. Um, yeah, I feel like all of that stuff is addictive. Like, I think I got addicted to like Tylenol PMs at one time, even though a lot of that stuff they say isn't addictive. But let me tell you, if you can't sleep and you start taking something to sleep, any of that stuff, I don't care what they tell you, can become addictive because you get addicted to how it makes you relax. And then once you take it for so long, then it gets to lose its effectiveness. And then you're in just a vicious cycle. Red, you said the color episodes of Twilight Zone in the 80s and 2000s should be on Pluto TV. They're a classic. Um, I do like Twilight Zone from the 80s. I didn't much care for the one in the 2000s. And of course, I like the original Twilight Zone. But it's good to know they're on Pluto TV. The Flonase will fix my nose. Well, maybe I need to start using it again. Okay. With all that being said, And my throat is a little scratchy too, guys, so please excuse that. Um, Red, you say, I never knew that Australian 80s movie Fortress was a made for TV film. I did not either. Uh, Red, I know. I also, this is a probably shameful to say, I didn't know it was an Australian movie. But the first movie I want to talk about, you might be thinking, that's not about, you know, a horrific family per se. But yeah, it kind of is. And it's actually the story of two different families. And I'm going to explain. And the movie I'm talking about is the original Last House on the Left. This is the Arrow release. It's a pretty cool release, Blu-ray release that they put out not very long ago. That comes with a poster and a booklet and all that good stuff. And this is probably one of the first movies to use the tagline to avoid fainting, keep repeating, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, and so on and so forth. But again, some of you might be saying, yeah, but Dana, it's not about a family. Okay. Well, the baddies, the bad people in this movie, Krug and the people with him. You got to keep in mind that Krug has a son, Junior, in this movie. So they are family. Of course, he treats Junior like shit, and Junior is the least predatory of the group and the least dangerous of the group. But we got to look at the other side of this, the other family in this story, which is the Collingwoods. And the Collingwoods consist of Mary, her mother, and her father. Her father is a doctor. Okay. So Mary is getting ready to. The movie pretty much starts out with um, it's Mary's birthday, and she's getting not postcards, but birthday cards from a lot of different people, probably friends and family and whatnot. And you hear the mailman, who it's kind of creepy to hear this mailman say this because he's an older guy, but the little dog, the Collingwood's dog, comes out, and evidently the dog is familiar with the mailman, has a good rapport with the mailman, and she just basically comes and jumps up in the mailman's car, and he makes the comment that Mary must be getting cards from most everybody in the civilized world or something to that effect, because he's going through the mail and he's at Mary Collingwood, Mary Collingwood, Mary Collingwood, and then he makes the declaration that, well, she is about the prettiest piece I've ever seen, which to me it just seems just a little creepy, because we go from that scene to the scene of Mary in the shower. And it's kind of, maybe teasing the members of the male audience. I'm not saying that it was done in a bad way or that puts this movie in a bad light. I'm not trying to say that. But you get your little flashes of nudity in this beginning shot. And you also have David Hess, who plays Krug in this movie, but who is also a very accomplished musician in his own right. You hear the haunting song, The Road Leads to Nowhere, as Mary is getting ready for a night on the town, and her friend Phyllis are going to go see a band called Bloodlust, which I'm assuming is meant to be like a a band, maybe like some of these harder edged rock bands during that time period, or something like Alice Cooper or something like that, shock rock uh, kind of stuff. Um, and so, and then you see her talking to her parents, and they give her a peace necklace, and they're asking her, who's this girl, who's this Phyllis that she's going to the concert with, and all of that. And then that's kind of intercut with Phyllis meeting Mary's parents, and there's a joke that's made, like, the parents want to know what line of work her parents are into, and she says iron and steel. And the mother says, "Iron and steel? Something about how impressive." And she said, "Well, my mother irons and my father steals." So, it kind of, you get the feeling that Phyllis has been around, and you get more of this feeling, not that she's not a good friend of Mary, but that she's just a little more streetwise, or quite a bit more streetwise than Mary is. And so they decide that they want to get some pot before the concert. And they make the mistake of seeing Junior standing out on the street. And like, Krug has pretty much told him, like, if you don't, you know, figure out a way to get us somebody that we can just use and abuse, then I'm not going to give you your drugs. And so he's essentially got his son hooked on drugs, and that's how he controls him. So here comes Mary and Phyllis, and they see Junior kind of standing out there with, looking like he lost his best friend. His head's down, and they just assume he's got the drugs. So they go up to him, and they're like, we want to buy some grass or whatever. And he's like, I don't have any. And then he stops and thinks about it. And he's probably thinking back to when Krug told him, find us somebody to use and abuse, or I'm not going to give you your yum yums or whatever they call them later, whatever he's addicted to. And so he says, hey, girls, come on back here. Let's get together. This obviously early 70s lingo. So he gets them to go into the place where all these people are shacked up together. Krug and Weasel and Sadie are all in there. And they kind of, try to make it look like, we're just your average people. We know better because we know these are the escaped convicts, you know, and we know that they're dangerous people. So they get trapped in a very uncomfortable position. And it's at that point in time, even though it's not shown, that it's implied that they raped Phyllis during that time. And then, the night passes into day, and they basically, I don't really know how they would do this in the city. I'm assuming, because they were taking the girls out the back way, and they've got, gags on their mouths and stuff like that, and they just put them in the back of the car and they just take off to wherever. That, it's a big city and nobody really wants to get in anybody else's business, and the fact that they are taking the girls out the back way and maybe nobody pays any attention. Um, um, TJ, you say Sadie could be the real mom of Junior. Isn't that implied? That could be implied. Yeah, that is technically a possibility, TJ. But 71 says no. She said in the original Sadie was with all of them except Junior. That was implied, and she just teased Junior. Yeah, I guess if you think about like that whole bathtub scene where he brings her a beer and she kind of pulls him into the bathtub, I guess that would be that'd be a very perverted version of a mother, wouldn't it? Um, 71, you said David Hess was a badass in that movie. Yes, David Hess was a badass in most movies that he was in. Um, TJ, you say, okay. With Dana's sake, you could say Sadie was technically a mother type, perverted, but lol. Yeah, you could look at it that way too. Um, so basically, at this point in the movie, the girls are taken out in the woods. There's one shot where Mary sees um, her family's mailbox and she knows I'm that close to my house. But the Krug and the others kind of push them deeper and deeper into the woods because their cars broke down on them. So they just kind of leave the car on the side of the road, get the girls, and take them deeper in the woods where there's even more humiliation and torture and rape and all of that, and eventually murder. Um, because some people may say, "Well, this is a sick movie, Dana. Why would anybody want to watch this movie?" The movie is rough. I am not going to lie to you. The movie is extremely rough. It's very hard to watch. And it's not going to be for everybody. And it's not a movie that I want to watch every day or, this is not a holiday movie that I want to watch. Hey, everybody, let's watch Last House on Land. No, I, it's not that kind of movie. But I also think that this movie has a place as far as genre films. Um, and I think that Wes Craven did an excellent job with this movie. I think both he and Sean Cunningham really, I mean, this was something that they cut their teeth on. And for this to be kind of like the first big thing for both of them, I think really says something about what kind of craftsmen they were. Okay. So, um, so they make Phyllis piss her pants. David Hess's character of Krug basically says, "Piss your pants," um, or I'm going to cut your friend here if you don't piss your pants. So she basically has to do that. A wet spot shows up on the front of her jeans. They all they all laugh, all except Junior, who's kind of off to himself. But the others think, Sadie's always saying things like, dig these crazy woods. And, she's just obviously, um, none of them are, are sane people. Sane people don't do the things that they did in this movie. So they're all laughing except for Junior and thinking it's just really cool that they made this girl piss on herself. Um, and then of course she takes her Phyllis takes her pants off, and um they basically make the girls take their clothes off, or they pull their clothes off, because Mary's almost a half an inch away from being catatonic at this point, and hasn't even gotten to the worst parts for her. And so they're basically just pulling her clothes off. And because she is in such a state, she's offering little resistance to these people. So um, they they want them to they're talking about all kinds of awful things that they could do. And I guess Junior thinks, I don't want them to do these awful things to them. So he says, make them make it with each other. Okay. So they say, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And so they make Mary and Phyllis interact sexually with each other. And Mary's just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. She's crying. And it gets worse when Sadie comes over, and it's obvious, or it was obvious to me, that Sadie is basically going down on Mary. Um and at that point, Phyllis manages to break away from them and go on the run. And so, around that time is when Phyllis is on the run. And there are points especially when I first watched it, there were points where I thought, well, maybe Phyllis is going to make it. Maybe Phyllis is going to make it to the road. Maybe she's going to make it. And the minute that machete or whatever comes out, and oh no, she's ran right smack dab into Crew. Um, and it's over. It's game over then. And they basically gut Phyllis and pull her intestines out. And that part of the movie was not seen for years. Um, I mean, you saw him stabbing her basically, and the sharp sting sounds, and Phyllis just, when it's happening. And um, unless you were able to get, I think I at one point got I believe it was a Dutch version. And it showed the intestine pulling scene, which now, with the advent of these different releases and stuff, now everybody can see that. It's not just people that were able to find, a third generation, pirated copy or something that had the intestine pulling scene, you know. So, and you can still get pretty much the full effect of the movie without these things. But now we don't have to worry about it. You can watch that version or not. Um, but, it just, everything goes from bad to worse. And just when you think it is went in as far in one direction as it can go, it goes even further. So, they come back, and um, Mary says, did Phyllis make it? And all you need, I mean, that is the most sadistic, creepy, eerie thing ever. When you see David Hess just shake his head, and then Phyllis's arm, her severed arm, comes out and kind of falls on Mary. And then the final, kind of like the final insult to this whole thing, is Krug violently rapes Mary and carves his name into her neck, or, upper chest part. And when he's done and he raises up off of her, and the spittle that, it's almost unthinkable to even talk about it. But those of you that have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. just seems to like some kind of elasticy like stuff. And it's just like, oh, even though you know that this is a movie and that David Hess did not really just rape this girl, that addition of the spit just made it all the more real and all the more sadistic for me. And so, you know, Mary's obviously in shock at that point, and she kind of pulls on her clothes, walks out into the middle of the lake, and just basically stands there and waits for them to finish her off. I mean, she has nothing left at that point. And there is one moment during this time period where all of the bad people look at each other. Krug and Weasel and Sadie kind of look at each other like, I can't believe what we just did. That's the only moment in the film where you see any sort of human quality in these people. The only scene. But then David has the character of Krug methodically points the gun at Mary's head and shoots her, and she falls into the lake. Okay. Um, so then these people make their way, they clean themselves up, they clean all the blood and everything off themselves, they change clothes, and they end up at Mary's parents' house. And when Mary's parents find out who is staying at their house after they find their daughter, because they've been trying to find her since the wee morning hours because they knew that concert was over a long time ago. And, the cops have been by, and they're kind of these goofy type of cops that I don't think they could solve a crime, any kind of crime. Oh boy. We're going to block 18 sexy XYZ. Okay. Um, TJ, you say, by the way, I bet Corey's mom and Halloween Ends pulled him into the bath a couple of times. Ha ha. 71, you said they were wild animals. Yeah. But, and in a lot of ways, worse than wild animals. TJ, you say, I think when they finally released it uncut, there was still more footage of the intestine scenes shown on the special features as an extra deleted scene. Yeah, I think that Dutch copy that I saw years and years ago um, probably had the full intestine pulling scene. I'm not really 100% sure. But hold on, guys. I'm going to peek. I heard the dogs, and I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, I have to keep an eye on the dogs at all times. It seems like because if I leave them to their own devices, sometimes they do things that they shouldn't. But anyway, um, so then once the realization that these are the people that killed their daughter, um, once they got that realization, then all hell breaks loose again because basically the last half of the movie is the setup of the parents figuring out how to most effectively get revenge for Mary and revenge for themselves because these monsters killed their daughter. And so there are a lot of different ways that that they go about dispatching these people. Weasel is dispatched, and guys, again, I don't think that, and I hope to goodness I never have to be put in a position like this. But I don't think that I could go to the lengths. Like, for instance, Mary's mother lures Weasel out in the yard with promises of a fantastic blowjob. So he gets the idea, Weasel does, that he says, I could I could take care of a looker like you with my hands tied behind my back. And so he allows his hands to be tied behind his back. Um, and he goes through the whole process of enjoying himself, supposedly being pleasured by Mary's mother. And then kind of the unthinkable happens. She bites off his dick. And I mean, she doesn't just bite it off. It's like a dog with a bone or something. She's just, and then, of course, she spits it out, and um, and it's sort of similar to the scene in "I Spit on Your Grave" when she's pleasuring the guy, and then she gets the knife, and at first he doesn't realize that, oh, my penis is gone, you know, and then when he does, all hell breaks loose. But and so then Weasel's dispatched, and then basically um, Mary's mother chases Sadie, and Sadie falls in the pool, and I believe she gets her throat slit. Um, and then at some point, Krug forces Junior to kill himself. And then Krug is dispatched with a chainsaw by Mary's father. Um, and basically, the last shot is the cops busting in, and it's all done by that time, and they're like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And the parents just collapse at that point. So they collapse into each other's arms, basically, and the cops take the chainsaw away from the father and all that, and they're just, they have no strength left. So, um, a very dark and, in some ways depressing movie, but again, a very important movie, I think, to the genre. If that is that you can handle it. It's not for everybody, and I wouldn't recommend that everybody go out and watch it. But if you can handle these types of films, then I would definitely say give this one a watch. Or if it's been a while, you could give it another watch. TJ, you say, I kind of think after Krug gets Junior to off himself, Hess makes a face like he was disappointed. That was his best he can give out carrying moment of emotion. Yeah, he sort of like a wince. But I mean, what did he expect what did the Krug character expect to happen? He's screaming, uh, blow your brains out over and over again to a guy, to a young man who is obviously almost completely controlled by Krug, um, and controlled by drugs, and the promises of drugs. So I don't know. I really don't know what the character of Krug expected within the movie. So anyway, that is The Last House on the Left. Since there's not a 4K out, I would say this is probably your best bet if you want to watch, in my opinion, the best version of it. You do have, there's 3 discs to this. This happens to be the limited edition. Um, you get disc 1, which is the unrated cut. you get disc 2, which is the Krugen Company and the R-rated cuts. And then disc 3 is a CD, The Last House on the Left original motion picture soundtrack. So it's a very nice, package. You also get some lobby cards in here. So let's see there. There's one of the chainsaw scenes. There's Mary falling into the water. And just, a very, very powerful movie. Definitely, pulls no punches. And, some people might be thinking that aren't entirely familiar with this movie. You may be thinking, why is it called Last House on the Left? Last House on the Left really doesn't make any sense. And this was in the days, though, that a lot of producers and stuff are out, people kind of outside of the actual making of the movie would retitle these movies with something that they really thought would bring in people to watch the movie. And so this was one of those cases, because the other titles, of course, were Krugen Company. A Sex Crime of the Century was another one. But one of the, I guess, distributors or whatever decided on Last House on the Left because, I don't know, something about left-handed people seem to be not trustworthy and all that stuff. I think that's a bunch of crap, but whatever. So they wanted to call it Last House on the Left. Maybe they were thinking the Collingwood house was a last house on the left, or, it says it rests on 13 acres of earth over the very center of hell, which really doesn't make much sense. The other thing that kind of, even though that is a pretty cool shot and it's, shocking to look at, that is not Mary. That is Phyllis, actually. But it says Mary, 17, is dying. Even for her, the worst is yet to come. She lived in the last house on the left. So I always remember seeing that shot, that still, and finding it very bizarre and creepy and horrifying and all those other adjectives. So, I mean, would I recommend this? Yes, I would. I definitely would recommend it. But you have to keep in mind that it's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be a film that everyone is going to enjoy. So I've dropped down to just 4 people. So Last House on the Left might have drove people away. Now, the next movie I'm going to talk about, I wish that old Curly Jaws was in here because he would like this. And that is House of 1,000 Corpses, which really, the Firefly family is one evil freaking family, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. And for those of you that have seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is one Rob Zombie movie that I do like. I think for the most part, Rob Zombie did a good job with movies that he came up with the idea on his own. I definitely don't think he's good at remakes. I thought the Halloween 1 and 2 remakes were just, I don't think they were good at all. But I did enjoy House of 1,000 Corpses, even with all its depravity and sadistic goings on. I did enjoy it. So Um, Toby Hooper did say this was one hell of a great horror movie. So there you have it from the director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, who says that this is one hell of a great movie. So this is a story of two young couples who take a misguided tour onto the back roads of America in search of a local legend known as Dr. Satan. Lost and stranded, they are set upon by a bizarre family of psychotics. Murder, cannibalism, and satanic rituals are just a few of the 1,000+ horrors that await. And I just think, this was a movie that really, let Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon, let her shine. I think she was good in this. Now, I can't say that for everything that she's been in. But I can say that the character of Baby in House of a Thousand Corpses, she's perfect for that role. Um, and Bill Moseley is excellent in his role as Otis. And very, very creepy. There have been few films where I found Bill Moseley to be genuinely creepy. Okay. I found him to be entertaining a lot of stuff, but this is the one film or group of films, The Devil's Rejects, and even Three from Hell, actually, to a lesser extent, but definitely with House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, um, Bill Moseley totally encompasses this character and makes it his own pretty much. But again, this is the one and only time I can recall Bill Moseley being that totally dark with a character. So, and then of course you have Dr. Satan, you have Mother Firefly played by Karen Black. Um, you have Sid Haig in this as Captain Spaulding, who kind of leads the couples into hell pretty much. Um, and I don't want to give too much away in case somebody has not seen House of a Thousand Corpses. But you want to talk about a depraved family. This is a depraved family. Their one and only goal, I guess, in life is to torture and kill as many people as they can. And they do that throughout this movie. And there are, I mean, this almost seems like, to me anyway, it seems like if somebody was to combine the most sadistic and bizarre elements of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Mother's Day, I'm talking about the original Mother's Day. What else could we throw in here? But definitely those two movies, and even, Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be tame when compared with this. And I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I do. I really do. But when brought up against House of a Thousand Corpses, um, it's tame by those standards. It just is. And that's not saying that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a great horror movie, because it is, or in my opinion, it is. But Darcy's in here. But House of a Thousand Corpses goes way, way into areas of sadism, and torture and all of that really the Texas Chainsaw Massacre never dared to go. And I don't think that that's what kind of film that Toby Hooper was trying to make. But this is what kind of film Rob Zombie was trying to make. He wants us to be taken aback. He wants us to wonder, how far is this guy going to go? Is he that crazy? Is he, is this the movie that's going to go all the way? you know? And I think it's still, even as sadistic as it is, I still think it stops short of crossing any lines. Um, but just barely, just barely. Uh, but these other movies, I know I was real descriptive about Last House on the Left, and I tend to do that with the first movie that I talk about for the night. But I'm going to try to be a little bit quicker with some of these other films, because it's almost 9:30 now, and I feel like I'm losing my people because we got 4 people in here now. Um, and again, I know it's getting close to the holidays. It's getting close to Thanksgiving, and people got a lot of stuff to do, and a lot of stuff to plan for, um, and all that. So I definitely want to make sure people get all their sleep and all that. And I know TJ said he was kind of in and out of it, and some of the rest of you might be as well. But I do want to say, I think that these are the types of movies that Rob Zombie, if you could say he was born to be a director for any types of horror movies, these would be the ones. He doesn't need to be making remakes. Please, for the love of God, never let that man make another remake. But I would highly recommend House of a Thousand Corpses to any horror fan, um, because I really think that he had something with this movie. And I really think, like I said before, this is one of the best movies to put his wife in, because the persona that she adopts as baby in this film, is it's perfect for her acting abilities. It doesn't come off goofy. It doesn't come off hokey. It comes off as natural for this type of film. Oh Lord! I thought when you blocked them, it blocked them for good. Now I can't even block the person. It's like, what the? Ah, I'm not going to refresh the page. So, guys, if you can ignore 18 sexy, sex XYZ, um, I wonder if I can put them in timeout. Here, I just put them in timeout for now. Um, they're blocked for 5 minutes now. Um, so, yeah. Okay. So, anyway, this is like, I guess, one of the original Blu-rays that came out of House of a Thousand Corpses. Um, there is director commentary, and there's a making of featurette. There's casting footage, rehearsal footage, cast and crew interviews, a theatrical trailer, and an interactive game called Zombietron, and a very amusing, or I think it's amusing, interactive menu where all the characters are saying "tiny fuck the stump." And some of you may think, well, that's crude, Dana. That's not funny. But I just found it increasingly funny. The more time I watched it, the more time it went on, it got funnier each time. But House of a Thousand Corpses, I do recommend this, for anybody that has not seen it. I highly recommend it. Like I always say, though, guys, if you don't own it, find a for free version, please. Don't go out and spend a ton of money. I have heard people say that this is probably one of the best looking Blu-rays to come out in a few years. And at one time you could get it for like $10. But again, I'm not recommending that anybody go out and buy any of these. If you want to try it out and you've never seen some of these, then please find a for free version. But I can recommend House of a Thousand Corpses. Um, Especially if you want an introduction to Rob Zombie's filmmaking. Watch this one. Don't go and watch Halloween or Halloween 2 that he did, or Lords of Salem 31. Don't watch that stuff. You know, don't watch the monsters. But maybe House of a Thousand Corpses and the Devil's Rejects. Okay, so the third one, and keep in mind, guys, this is not in any particular order. They're not in order by my favorites. It's just how I pull them off the shelf. So this is another Wes Craven movie, the original "The Hills Have Eyes," with the tagline "The Lucky Ones Died First." Um, I don't think it's. I don't think those people have been blocked. That person's been blocked. Ugh. I keep getting an error. I don't know if they figured out a way to not be blocked or what is the problem. But anyway, if you guys can ignore it, we'll go on with this. And like I said, this is another Wes Craven movie. I guess Wes Craven was a master when it came to making these films about crazy families. Hey, Matt. They say, Daniel, check out The Hackers from 1988. It's free on YouTube. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a fun shot on video slasher flick. I will check that out, Matt. Thank you for the suggestion. So, The Hills Have Eyes is basically about a crazy kind of mutant family that's been living out in the desert, in these caves, and anybody that ends up in their way gets dispatched. Unfortunately, this family that's on vacation ends up in their path. And slowly, bad things start to happen. I mean, this movie can get pretty sadistic at times. You know, catching people on fire and torturing them before then and all that. And basically the rest of the family members having to see their other members of their family be dispatched in such horrible ways, until you've only just got maybe a couple of people left, two or three people left in this family, to fight these bad people. And Michael Berryman is on this, and Michael Berryman is, I mean, he's the nicest guy if you meet him in person. That much is obvious. But he can really play a sadistic person. Um, and I think sometimes the nicest people can play the most evil people in a movie, um, just because they have the ability to turn that on and off. They can be a total crazy person in a movie, and then as soon as you know the director says cut, they can go right back to being their normal selves. And I met Michael Berryman recently, and he was just the sweetest guy. He signed my Hills Have Eyes record, my vinyl, and I got a picture with him, and it was a really cool experience. And that's another one on my bucket list marked off. Um, but I do think that he is amazing in this movie. He is also amazing in another Wes Craven movie, Deadly Friend. Um, but I just think he's an incredible actor, and I think that it's kind of sad that he really wasn't offered opportunities to play more normal characters. And I've even heard him say that because of the condition he has, and I'm forgetting the name of it, that makes, some of his facial features a little different than other people. Um, that enabled him to get these roles in horror films, and I mean, I guess he's thankful for that aspect of it. Um, but I think that he could have played a lot of straight roles. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about gay and straight. I'm just saying I feel like he could have played a lot of different roles other than horror roles. Um, but The Hills Have Eyes, I know people talk about The Hills Have Eyes Part 2 is not that great. Um, and some people like the remakes better than they do these. Honestly, guys, I don't care for those remakes that were made, especially that first remake. And I know Alexander Aja or whoever did those or did that first one. But I thought that The Hills Have Eyes, the original Wes Craven classic, in my opinion, um, went into areas where you know, where we were shocked at what we were watching. And I think it had the right amount of shock value. I don't think that they had to keep going and going and pushing and pushing. And I think that personally, I think that's what happened with the remake, that they just went over many, many lines. And I just didn't think it needed to be. Um, and some people, I mean, no Curly Jaws might say this. He might say the original Hills Have Eyes is overrated and the remake is awesome, and it needed to be that violent and all that. Um, but evidently, a lot of these directors that have done these remakes um, have no sense of subtlety. I mean, I know we talked about Rob Zombie about in that respect before. Um, hold on, guys. Looks like I'm gonna have to let the dogs out here. Let me remove myself real quick. Okay, guys, I'm back, but I'll probably have to get up and let a couple of the dogs back in here in a minute. But um, yeah, I think that the original Hills Have Eyes had the right balance of subtlety, um, mixed with the right amount of violence and creepiness. Because some of that stuff, like where you could hear the members of this clan talking like on radios and stuff like that when they were talking to each other, I thought all that was eerie. And I don't know. I just think it's a really well made movie. I think it hits all the bases. Um, but I'm going to read what Red Red said here. Red Red says, I'm not a fan of the original Hills Have Eyes because it's too long, drawn out, and boring. But on another note, what are some good back in the day made for TV movies? Well, uh, I talked about one of those, Red, the other night, Saturday, I think. Don't Go to Sleep, I think, is a really good, horror made for TV movie. This House Possessed is another one. That's another one I talked about um, the other night. And if you give me some time, I'll probably come up with a few others, but that's, excuse me, two off the top of my head. So, anyway, The Hills Have Eyes. I highly recommend it. If you can find it for a free version, that's great. This is the Arrow release that Steve got me for Christmas a few years back. Um, so there are, this does have like a brand new 4K restoration of the film that's supervised by producer Peter Locke and viewable with both original and alternate endings. Um, you get optional English, or I don't want to read that. So you get 6 postcards, a reversible fold out poster, limited edition 40-page booklet. There's brand new audio commentary with actors Michael Berryman, Janice Blythe, Susan Lanier, and Martin Spear, which is really good. Um, Brand new audio commentary with academic Michael J. Coven. There's the original, I believe, audio commentary with Wes Craven and Peter Locke, which is also really, really good. Looking back on the Hills Have Eyes, making of documentary featuring interviews with Wes Craven, Peter Locke, actors Michael Berryman, Janice Blythe, Robert Houston, Susan Lanier, Dee Wallace, and director of photography Eric Serene. Family Business, a brand new interview with actor Martin Spear. The Desert Sessions, a brand new interview with composer Don Peake. And there's also never before seen outtakes and an alternate ending presented in HD for the first time. Trailers and TV spots and image gallery. And also a reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Paul Shipper. And I was just going to, well, if I can get this out of here. I'm not unfolding these posters, but you kind of get an idea that that's got the new artwork. There's one of the lobby cards there from Michael Berryman. And this is the original artwork there with Michael Berryman. Michael Berryman definitely was good advertising for this movie because, he's all over, especially the original advertising for the movie. Of course, you get a booklet there as well. Oh, yes, TJ, that's a good one to bring up. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark with Kim Darby is good TV horror. So we're down to the last two, guys, and you knew I was going to talk about this, right? You knew I was going to talk about this one. The original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the 40th anniversary collector's edition that Steve got me when I was working at the Newburgh branch of the Louisville Free Public Library, and I was having a really tough time adjusting to that particular branch. That was a rough branch, guys. But he got this for me, and I love this movie, and I always have loved this movie. I was trying to get the movie out for you. So you can have it like this, but you can also turn it around where that steel door, it has that steel door look. But I always just keep it turn around to Leatherface. And I don't think that I really need to explain the plot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to probably any of you guys in here tonight. But the basic story is that these kids run out of gas, and these kids in the van run out of gas on their way to their grandparents' old homestead, um, which is pretty rundown. But they run afoul of the family comprised of Leatherface and a character affectionately called the Hitchhiker, um, and the cook. Um, and that character of the cook is played by Jim Seedow, I never met him in person, but I've seen interviews with him, and he seemed to be like the sweetest, nicest guy ever, like a grandpa like character. Which there is also a grandpa in this. I almost forgot, but a very sadistic family. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. You can probably hear Sammy bark, and I need to get him in there. So hold on. So sorry, guys. I love all my dogs, but it really aggravates me when I'm trying to, get through movies on a stream and I have to keep stopping and starting. It causes me to lose cohesion with my stream. So I doubt very seriously there's anybody else that does these live streams that has to get up so much. So anyway, it was a long time before I actually got to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I was so excited because this is a movie that you kind of heard about, but at least in my neck of the woods, not a lot of people had seen it. So when I was finally able to see it, I was just so excited and everything. And I was one of these people that was expecting a little more blood, but yet I was not disappointed in this movie. This movie had so much characterization. Um, I think Gunnar Hansen was awesome as Leatherface. Um, to me, he was the best Leatherface. You know, People have asked about regrets about people that you didn't go up and meet when you could have. And Gunnar Hansen is one of those regrets for me. I saw him at several conventions, and I always thought I'd have enough time to like meet him at another time. And then before I knew it, he was gone. And so, you know, I don't know if any of you guys out there got to have ever got to meet Gunnar Hansen, but when people have talked about meeting Gunnar Hansen, they always talk like the experiences were pleasant. That Gunnar Hansen was never like an asshole to anybody or anything like that. But I think he is incredible as Leatherface. I think Ed Neal is incredible as the hitchhiker character. Jim Seadow. Nobody else could have pulled off the cook part like Jim Seadow. Um, Jim Seadow in this was able to go back and forth between being, uh, you know, a good natured, you know, not a good old boy, but, like I said, a grandfatherly type to being this crazed lunatic. And he could do it. He could turn on a dime. And I think that's probably what made Jim Seadow an incredible actor and made him so perfect for this part because of that the schizophrenic way he was able to play that. And he's obviously not mentally ill or anything like that, or he wasn't when he was alive. But that is a great talent to be able to do that, to to be calm and in the moment and seem to be perfectly well adjusted to flipping out and kind of joining in with the fun. And you see that in some parts, like he's pretty normal at the gas station when the kids come and um, ask him if he has any gas. Of course, this was during the time period when there was gas shortages, and he kind of tries to warn them, you don't want to go messing around an old house, why don't you stay around here and eat some barbecue and, yada, yada, yada. And then by the end of the film, um, he's screaming and carrying on with the other two for Grandpa to hit Marilyn Burns in the head. And it's like, get her, Grandpa, get her. I mean, it's just almost like a cult mentality that they're all getting together and joining in the fun. Um, but I mean, that's your basic story. These kids run afoul of a crazed family, um, and most of them end up falling prey to this family. Um, and of course, it's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and there is a chainsaw. Leatherface is the one wielding the chainsaw, um, as well as some other implements to dispatch some of these people. So I consider the Texas Chainsaw Massacre a classic. I always will. Nobody will change my mind on that, not even old Curly Jaws. Um, and I can't really remember if old Curly Jaws has said that he probably did say that these remakes and stuff were better than. Um, he probably said that 2022 thing that came out was better than this, but I'm having a hard time remembering what exactly he said about this specifically. He might have said it's overrated. Um, but I do love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you have never seen this film and can find it for a free version, definitely seek this sucker out and watch it. If it's been a while since you've seen it, pull it back off your shelf and give it another watch. Um, I'm really eager to get my hands on a 4K copy of this because this is the Blu-ray, and you're probably thinking, well, gee, Dana, it's probably not going to look much better, but by golly, I want it. I missed out on the German release from Turbine Films that was 4K. I would have loved to have had that, but yeah, I think, I think the time has come and gone for me to be able to get that. So anyway, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now the last one you guys may think is a kind of weird choice for me to pick as far as horror families, but that's Psycho. And I didn't even think about it until I was looking at lists that people had compiled of, horrific families. And the more I thought about that, I was like, oh yeah, the Bates family is a horrific family. I mean, um, especially, you see that more as you watch the sequels rather than the original Psycho. But the screwed up family dynamic is already there. It's already in place with the first Psycho. And that is the whole twisted relationship between Mrs. Bates and Norman. Um, and, it's obvious through the conversations you hear throughout the film Psycho, where Norman is supposedly talking to his mother, and you can see and hear the way she talks to him, the way she interacts with him, that lets you know that their family dynamic was never good. It was never healthy. It was never a healthy mother and son relationship. And like I said, that is expanded upon in the sequels, definitely. Um, but I've talked and talked and talked about Psycho, how I feel like it's a near perfect film and all that. So I'm not going to bore you guys with that. I also don't think I need to go into the entire plot of Psycho. I mean, it's a very well made horror film or thriller, if you want to call it a thriller. Um, there's not a whole lot of blood in this. Now, this version that I've got is the 4K, and it is the most complete version of Psycho. But guys, honestly, if the only version you've got is the version that everybody watched for years, I think that would be fine because the little additions to this um, don't really make any revelations or anything like that. I just, as a completist and a collector and stuff like that, I was interested in seeing that. And two, I wanted it on 4K, and since the 4K had this version, I thought, well, why not? So again, I'm not going to go on and on about Psycho other than to say again that I think that it is a nearly perfect horror film. I don't think there are any truly perfect films of any kind, but there are films, in my opinion, that are near perfect. Some are horror, some are other types of films. But Psycho is one that I say is a near perfect film as far as a horror film. And if you've never, ever, ever seen Psycho, I highly recommend that you seek out a for free version to watch. Um, because I think the majority of horror fans are going to get something out of this. I really do. It's another one that I consider a classic. I think Alfred Hitchcock really took Robert Bloch's story and really he knew what he was doing with the material. And so, well, guys, for you three people that are left in here, um, I reached the conclusion of my feast of family horror. Um, Now, I mean, on down the road, I may do another one of these because you're probably thinking, yeah, but Dana, there were other movies that about horrific families and you didn't cover them. One thing I was trying not to do was cover a lot of these newer films because there were a lot of newer films, most of which I don't like. Um, things like Hereditary and stuff, and Ready or Not, and We Are What We Are, or whatever, all that stuff. I'm just not really interested in talking about that. Oh, thank you, TJ, for the anniversary dinner reminder. So now that TJ thankfully he didn't let me forget. You guys get a bonus for you 4 people that are in here now. Because TJ said earlier about anniversary dinner, which is a Tales from the Dark Side episode. And Tales from the Dark Side was an horror anthology show back in the 80s. And I loved that show. I absolutely loved that show. And Anniversary Dinner was always one of my favorites. And also, I think that Anniversary Dinner is also one of the scariest episodes, or creepiest episodes, whatever way you want to look at it. And Anniversary Dinner concerns a couple who's getting ready to celebrate their wedding anniversary. And I thought it was like, TJ, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Was it their 20th or 25th or something like that? But Alice Ghostly, and I forget the guy's name that played her husband in this episode, they look too old to be just celebrating their 20th or 25th wedding anniversary. But anyway, they always talk like they miss their kids, and the children seem to add something to their anniversary every year. And uh, the wife keeps talking about, I miss the children, and this is going to come into play later in the episode, of course. But a guy and a girl show up outside their house, and the guy's real obnoxious. He's pretty much a dick, and he's mean to the girl that he's with, and she ends up separating herself from him and ends up showing back up at the older couple's house, asking if, could she stay there for a little bit. Okay, so TJ, you say, yep, 25. He said they lived in sin a long time. something, something must have been up there. Excuse me. So, she comes and stays with the older couple, and they're really nice to her and let her use. Why an older couple would have a hot tub, I don't know, but they have this room um, with a hot tub in it, and she puts on her suit and she gets in there, and something never seems quite right this entire episode. um I always felt like, something's off kilter here. And I mean, I knew I was watching the Tales from the Dark Side episode, so I knew that there was going to be some kind of revelation. And uh, some Tales from Dark Side episodes were kind of funny, like the episode I was rewatching today, A Case of the Stubborns. That is a humorous episode about a guy, an old man who dies, but he's too stubborn to realize that he's dead, and keeps coming downstairs to eat, and goes and sits out on his porch, and he's rotting away. It's only and all that. But then there are other episodes of Tales from the Dark Side, like Anniversary Dinner, that are very dark, and they get darker as the episode goes on. And so, again, the wife keeps saying how she misses the children, and she tells the girl this. And then the day of their anniversary, they go out to get some last minute groceries, and the girl decides she'll go and turn on, the sound system in here, and turn on the hot tub, um, and just relax a little bit. Well, if you hadn't already figured out something was amiss, when the husband comes in and he finds out that she's like opened up these cabinets in this room and all that, and messed with the sound system and turned on the hot tub while they were gone and got in there and was just doing as she pleased, he becomes really, really angry. And you're like, okay, why is he so angry? So finally, he calms down and he offers her some wine or some booze of some sort. And he tells her basically she can use the hot tub anytime she wants. And he's sorry for getting so angry. And she gets in the hot tub and they're still giving her wine or whatever to drink. And they're putting it in the hot tub. And then they start putting vegetables in the hot tub. And it's like, okay, Um, and so the girl gets drunk and slides under the water. At that point, they get out a great big wooden spoon and start stirring. So you realize now, oh my God, they're cooking this girl. They're making a stew out of this girl. And then the wife says, the children, she said, I think we should share this with the children. And so the husband gets his keys out and they go up to this cabinet and he unlocks the cabinet. And inside the cabinet are all these skulls. Those are the children. Now, we don't know if they killed and ate their own children over time or if these were just people that showed up around their house and they did the same thing to them that they did to this girl, and that's it, or it's a mixture of their real children and outsiders who have showed up. But that last scene is just so creepy. um Seeing those skulls in there, I just always thought that was so creepy. But that is a very, very like top of the line episode. I mean, I have several favorite episodes of Tales from the Dark Side, but some of those are truly exceptional, and I think Anniversary Dinner is one of them. Texas, you say, oh yeah. TJ, you say stubborns with a very young Christian Slater. Exactly. Um, so guys, um, with the addition of talking about Anniversary Dinner from Tales from the Dark Side, I have officially reached the end of my A Feast of Family Horror. I want to thank all of you guys that were in here with me tonight in the chat. I do want to remind everybody that I'm going to be doing another episode or another installment of my Dinner with De Palma on Wednesday this week because Thursday is on Thanksgiving. And we're going to be covering home movies and The Fury. And the dinner portion will include a box lunch of your choice. Whatever you consider a box lunch and you want to participate in this dinner portion, then that's what we're doing. Good night, TJ. Um, and Saturday, we will be doing a Thanksgiving watch along, and that is at the request of old Curly Jaws, who I hope will be able to be on the watch along live with me, and anybody else that would wish to be live on that. But that's a couple of things I've got upcoming. I'm not sure if I'll do anything tomorrow night. It'll be a surprise, guys, because it generally it's contingent upon how I feel. And this last week and this week has just been kind of iffy. So, with all that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.